You good? I'd like to call to order the August 21st, 2025 Montecito Board of Architectural Review Consent Calendar meeting. The first item is C1848 Hot Springs Road. Is there anybody here for that job? Please come up. Did you have any questions on it, Rob?
Um, the only question I had is was there was a concern, and I didn't look at the cut sheet with that the light sconce is not dark sky.
No, that light is.
Okay, it doesn't look like it. That's all.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that was
Is
my
that
only.
it?
Yeah, that's it.
And my comment was lovely. So recommend
Oh
approval?
yeah,
Okay,
no,
so
it's
we'll
very
recommend
nice.
approval at the full board. We don't do it here, but we make a recommendation, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item number C2, 226 Dawlish Place. Amy, are you here, please? Did I see your name up there earlier?
I'm
Amy?
here. Yes, I am.
Okay, did you have any comments about it?
The only
Uh,
comment, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go
Go ahead, Amy.
The only comment that we had was they had, at the last meeting, they had, didn't like the, pathway in the front yard, the way that we had it, and we would like to keep it the way we have it because we feel that if it went down the center, it would cut the front yard into two sections. And we don't, because we're on a restricted lot anyhow, we really would just rather keep that as much open, area as possible.
What's she referencing?
There's a pathway from the door, front door, and the board suggested that maybe we go straight down and come to steps on the by the street, and we would rather just keep a stone path going emptying into the driveway for sheep. Sorry.
I want to save the lawn.
Okay. So I have one minor comment and then one more significant issue. Um, the Italian, so this is a fire rebuild, Amy.
Yes, it is.
So I don't think the fire department will be real thrilled with having you put any Italian cypress back on the project. They might not accept the one that's existing.
Okay.
They kind of look, that's like kind of the epitome of what they hate the most in terms of a fire torch. So I'm just kind of a heads up. I don't know whether you might need to remove that for fire.
Okay.
So Amy, would you be willing to do that? I agree with the fire danger.
Okay. And we would be willing to do that. That's not a problem.
Okay, so,
And then the big thing.
okay,
So and I know this is a small it's like relative. It's not a big project. It's not highly visible. Um, I called Stacy, and so when I look and I see that you've gone and you have hired a really good electrical engineer and have a very high quality electrical engineering set of plans, but the landscape plans don't are not typical at all to what we accept. There's not really a complete set of landscape plans. There's no irrigation plan. It's really not an adequate planting plan. And and then you probably almost would need a fire defensible space plan. Um, and so my concern, Stacy's concern, is that to accept this, and I know it's a fire rebuild, and there's a definite empathy there for the situation, that we're kind of setting precedent. So if we accept this, people can kind of point to that. Why did you approve that? So that kind of puts me, in that position. And so my feeling is that we could approve this with you to come back with a minimal set of landscape plans, which has a planting plan, an irrigation plan, and probably a defensible space fire plan that could be approved in consultation with me. So you could walk away with a final that allows you to move forward, but then just do this through the planner and myself.
Okay, so you're saying planting, irrigation, and fire. And what's the fire
It's a
term?
really simple. You basically graphically depict the different zones of defensible space.
there's a
Sensible.
5-foot zone and a 30-foot zone.
Okay.
So that was, so yeah, no, I, hated to kind of pull that trigger, but I just, as I said, it's,
Okay.
so anyways.
So
And
Amy,
so, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, please finish, please finish.
So would you be okay if we work with the planner on that and we could start moving towards the building department with this and come back for the approval for the planting plan or the landscape plan? I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was my comment was that it's the way we've managed to kind of facilitate this and keep projects moving and allow you to get in the building department is to basically give you final approval, but then it's to be done with your planner and consultation with one of the board members, whether it be myself or Stacy.
Okay. And I'm sorry. And who are you? I'm sorry.
It's Rob, you know me, Rob Fowler.
Oh, Rob Pollard. Okay. So yeah, I didn't know you, Rob.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah.
I am told we are totally okay with whatever
Okay.
what you said and
Thank
we
you.
perfect.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so Amy, I did not see a call out on the metal roofing to be matte finish.
Okay.
So we need to get that. Also, I did not see window, door, or skylight details.
You're right. Yep, you're right.
So again, I don't, this is a small project. I don't want to hold you up. Let's, get into the building department. And then those three items, one, two, the details and the matte finish, planner and consultation with me. And then
Okay.
we'll just get that done. Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
I erred on item C1. It is on for preliminary. And I did not ask if anybody attending this meeting would like to comment on item C1, 848 Hot Springs Road, please. Anybody?
No requests online.
Okay, very good. So we will turn off the mic for about 6 minutes. How's that?
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 8.
Hey. Yeah, you did. It was like really quick. So, oh, it's okay. Oh, they started early. Okay, so this is the deal. They want an irrigation and a planting and a fire defensive space on the landscape plan. It's called a fire defensive space. So I can talk to my friend Kate, she can probably help us there. And they want the metal panels to be a matte finish. And they want window and door details. So those three things they want, but they
Amy, can you hear me?
we just have to finalize these three things through Willow. Yes, they did, yeah. We don't have to go back. Yeah, it's almost a full yay, but like I said, they had these three items and they're like, well, you gotta put matte finish, you have to do the door and window details, and then you gotta clean up the landscape plan. No, I just wanted to bring this up that, we want to keep they were fine with that, they didn't say anything about it. So we'll just have to get talk to Kate and see what she has to say, if she can help us with this fire. Well, he said we can do all that. I just want to finish up a few little things before we're ready to go to the building department. Start. But
I'd like to call to order the August 21st, 2025 Montecito Board of Architectural Review. First item on the agenda
So
is
let 'em go.
public comment.
Bye-bye.
Is there anybody that would like to address the board on an item that's not before the board today?
No hands up.
Agenda status report, David.
No changes today.
Minutes of August 7th. Any comments from anybody, please?
I was just, I had a.
Mike?
Thank you, sorry. I just had a question on, what was that, item 2? I was just wondering when the comment was made about one member suggested utilizing a more endemic material palette. What was that in reference?
It
Does anybody?
sounds like Stacy.
Yep, that sounds like me.
But it was was it a plant material palette?
No, like stone and just because they're using a lot of like not native palettes, they had a lot of dark colors
Oh, okay.
and imported material.
Can you turn on your mic, Stacy, please?
They had a lot of dark colors, a lot of imported material high up on the foothills where it's very hot. So I suggested using
Oh,
like
okay.
native sandstones, native, gravel.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure if it was in reference to planting, and so
So is this comment correct then,
yeah, it's fine.
please?
Yeah, it's fine.
Anybody else? And I have none either, so nice job. I'd like to move for approval of the August 7th, 2025 minutes as presented. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
I
Aye. All those opposed? Staff minutes, okay. MBAR informational briefings. Anyone go anywhere, do anything, please?
Nope.
Staff update. Stace, Kimberly or David, please?
Just wanted to point out, because we've been hyping it the last couple of meetings, that Montecito Fire will not be joining us today. just due to the fires that they didn't think they would be back by today. So we'll reschedule that for next month.
Okay, anything else, Kimberly?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, items, Montecito consent agenda. This is item C1, 848 Hot Springs Road. This was a project that Don Nolte and Robert brought in. And I think both of us thought the project was very nice and we recommend approval to it. It's on for both preliminary and final. So this is that little cabana that's stone, wrapped in stone with very minor arches, which we asked them to put in and which they have put in now. So
And they had a green roof to go to even to the next level.
yeah. Okay, so we are on for preliminary today. So is there anybody that would like to address the board on item C1, 848 Hot Springs Road, please?
No request to speak.
So I would like to move for preliminary and final as approved. Excuse me, as
Submitted.
submitted.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Item C2 was not quite as far along. It's on for final only, but I had some comments that the metal roof was not called out as a matte finish, nor were there window, door, or skylight details. So I'm gonna, in the motion, I want to address that. And Rob, did you have some comments, please?
yes, I had requested that the applicant submit a more complete set of landscape plans to include a planting plan, irrigation plan, with Wheelo, and then, of course, a plan for the defensible fire space, the fire zones.
And removal of all cypress on the property, right?
Y- y-
Italian cypress on the.
Yeah, I was suggesting that they, well, I think that will happen when it gets before the fire department, but,
You want to make a condition? We're going to give it, what Rob and I'd like to do is to give it final with the applicant to come back and discuss the architectural pieces with me, the landscape pieces with Rob
through the planner.
through the planner. But what do we think about Italian cypress, please?
If they're not next to the house,
I don't know where they are, Rob.
One was next to the house, one was a little bit away from the house. I'm fine either way. I just thought one was existing, one was like, the note was to possibly replace. It wasn't, it was kind of vague. And so the thinking is that when you get in front of the fire department, my hunch was they were gonna ask them to remove it anyhow. So I was just maybe trying to make their path easier.
I would let fire make that call.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Okay, so any other comments on this project before I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion for final approval with the following comments. Specify that the metal roof will have a matte finish. Provide window, door, and skylight details for review with the planner in consultation with the chair. And provide a landscape plan with all defensible space and
So a complete landscape plans which includes planting plan, irrigation plan, and then the defensible space fire plan.
to be reviewed by the planner in consultation with Rob Fowler. Is there a second to that motion, please?
I can second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, first item on the agenda is 1406 Greenworth Place. Before you get started, can you explain why it's here?
I can, Mr.
Good,
Chair.
thank you.
Hello, nice to see everyone. Brian Banks, agent for the owner, Marcy Musser, is here with us. We also have our architect joining us via Zoom. The only reason it's here is because we've not got the room to comply with the front setback, so we're requesting a front setback modification of approximately 5.5 feet. So as you know, that requires MBAR's review and comments so that we can proceed to the Montecito Planning Commission. So conceptual review with hopeful comments that it's acceptable to proceed to the MPC. I'll continue. Thank you, David. I was going to suggest starting with the photo. So the property here you can see outlined in orange. We are in Greenworth in the hedgerow. You'll see in the photos, this property is a well-represented example of the hedgerow. You'll see in the southern portion of it, page down, the little rectangle there, that's a little mini grove of olive trees. That'll be a good marker when you see the site plans. These are the photos. Top photo is the entrance to the property directly in from Greenworth. Second photo down is viewing to the left or the south along the perimeter of the property. And if we go to the next page, we'll complete the photos. Top page is looking north up Greenworth with the property at the right. The bottom photo would be looking, you can see the palm tree trunk there that you'll find on the sheets. So this would be looking directly from Greenworth into the property where the location of the proposed ADU would go. And I think we might have one more sheet, or is that it? Oh, there we have a couple. So those are the olives that you saw in the aerial photo, and you'll actually see stakes. So property owner had the location of the proposed ADU, the corners of the ADU staked. So you can see the furthest corner to the south there, and then in the bottom photo you can see both. So the project, kind of the goal of the project was started with an 800 square foot ADU, became really clear immediately that we wouldn't have enough room to meet the setback requirements, and we've got an oak tree on the other side of the property that kind of eliminated that area. So the project continued to shrink to the proposed now 500 square foot ADU, which is kind of the smallest that makes the ADU worth doing. But even with that, in an effort to save at least some of the patio area there and those olive trees, that's the request for the setback modification. I think we've got two more sheets here that'll help. Just another view looking kind of south west. Those palm trees will be a good reference again on the top. On the bottom, looking north from basically the ADU location. And then last page. This is looking from the property as you enter the entry gates, looking south towards, you can see those palm trees again. And then the bottom photo was just kind of to show as you enter the property, the other only area that we explored that would comply with the setbacks, and that's occupied by, you can see that very large oak tree. So that gives you the context of the photos. And then if we go to the plans, I'm sure you're going to be most interested in site plans, so we could start with that. Here's our property survey. So you can see typical of the hedgerow. We've got a lot of lines there and easements and all those sorts of things. But the summary of the story is the location that we're proposing, again, would encroach 5.5 feet into the required front yard setback. And I guess on this sheet, you'll see in green there, those are those olive trees that we're trying to work around. And then in the back of the house, there's a pool. So that kind of eliminated that location. And then again, in the upper right-hand corner where that little L-shaped area is, there's a really large oak tree over there. Next page is our proposed site plan. So you'll see the ADU over to the left in its kind of orientation there. The two large circles there are those large palm trees. And so you'll see on the sheet there that there are 1, 2, 3 olives that are remaining, really trying to work around those. And while we don't have it reflected on the site plan, the owner's been working with a landscape contractor, and it would appear that the two olive trees that would be impacted are actually good candidates for relocation. And so the plan is to relocate those kind of between the palm trees. So it'll have, is that correct? Kind of in front of the.
Yes.
Corner to become a bigger olive row, and the stone cottage will sit in the yellow?
That's kind of it. So you'll see the dotted lines too. There are two dotted lines. The dotted line that's further in with the string dimension on it is our required setback. And then the second line, which, touches the very corner of the ADU, is the requested modification area. And so this would be the limit that's allowed in the code. You can go as close as 16.5 feet to the right-of-way line, even though the right-of-way extends pretty far into the property, as is typical in the hedgerow. We've got fences and hedges and all of those kind of things that are long established, and so we're kind of having to work with the plotted real setbacks, even though that's kind of not how things are laid out in this neighborhood. We do have the architect. I know that your role typically in ADUs isn't to review the architecture, but the architect is online if you have any questions about that. But that pretty much sums up the project.
Questions, Dave?
Is the hedge screening the ADU completely from the street? The existing hedge?
It's massive. I don't, what would you estimate?
Yes.
18 feet,
Yes.
15
You
feet?
would see the ADU from the street.
Thank you.
And from the side yard as well.
That's
That's
correct. It
also-
can, right. It's, and if we can go back to the photos if needed.
Is that it, Dave? Stacy, please.
No questions.
Rob?
Can we go to the site plan? Let's go to the site plan. So, along the lines of the hedge, actually, does the visual clearance at the driveway come into play?
Rob, it may indeed with the fire department. I haven't met with the fire. That would be actually tomorrow.
Mostly roads? Like
The
hedge is so big, as you mentioned, you don't have that visual cone, or that like the city has their view cone and all that.
You're right. The roads department does have those standards in my experience, which doesn't mean everything. If we're not modifying the apron or the driveway entrance, and that's like an existing condition, they probably won't make us trim the hedges and do the site triangle and all of that.
Yeah. So my other kind of question, I guess, was which one is the set? Is that the right of way line, the one closest to the road?
Correct. So maybe, David, if you zoom in just a little bit there and those kind of blue dotted lines, yeah, maybe one more zoom. Okay, that's perfect. So you'll see the one, Rob, that's furthest into the property. That's the required 50-foot. In this case, it's 60-foot right of way. So we've got both a 50-foot from center line and then the minimum 20 feet from the edge of the right of way condition. And so in this case, they're the same with the 60-foot right of way. And so the furthest line into the property is the required front setback. And then the second line further down is our requested 5.5-foot modification setback.
So then my other question, I guess, that I react to is when I see structures, I think there's something about having the orientation and the geometry of all the structures kind of being oriented the same. So is the 45-degree approach on the ADU as opposed to squaring it up with the house and squaring it up with the gardens and squaring it up with the fountain and all that in the backyard? Completely
It's a function of the geometry. It's owner preference too, but it's also a function of the geometry, because if we lined it up, then we still have, because of the way the setback line curves there, we would still have a setback issue. So geometry is one, but Marcy, did you want to comment on why you?
I mean, the only other option was putting it all in that, where you can see
Garden.
where those steps are in that olive tree grove, and destroying that space and making it so close to the other house. And this way, it also has the nicest view of the mountains, of
Okay,
the whole property.
that's a good.
So it kind of maximized the feeling, and it's going to be like a garden cottage. It'll be stone,
Okay.
and
Yeah, I just want to make sure that
yep, be
it's,
part of the landscape.
purpose. Okay, thank you.
Bill, questions, please?
Yeah, my questions are similar to Rob's too. Did you look at the idea of rotating it at a 90 or parallel to the house and going and doing the averaging setback in the side? Would that work? Or is it just not, you're still going to hit the front setback probably?
Yeah, so the interesting thing about that, Bill, is so you'll see our surveyed property lines, but you also see that kind of white line. That's where the existing hedge is.
Oh, the white band, that's.
Right, and if you went to the photos or Google Earth, you'll see that we've got neighbor stuff encroaching, and Marcy really wants to protect that mature hedge and didn't want to get into it kind of completes the whole perimeter of the
Yeah, because
property.
it seems like you could rotate it, maybe push it into the side and still get everything you need and maybe even be out of most of the,
Just
not
as
as
a
much in
few.
the front setback.
Yeah.
Right?
There's the two issues of the existing mature hedge, removing that, and then having to deal with the neighbors' encroachments, and we don't
Yeah.
really want to raise, it's kind of like,
That.
hey, live and let live. We'll comply, do our thing without getting into that area, unless I'm mistaken there, Marcy.
We like our neighbors.
Yeah.
And I'd rather not have to.
Make waves.
Yeah, they're wonderful people. I just believe that's the way to make things work better. And
Okay, thanks.
Robert, questions, please.
No questions.
FAR worksheet, please.
Yeah, it's on the front page.
And actually, I want to look at the upper left-hand corner of that. You have an area of 0.50 for the property. The agenda has 0.42, and the assessor's website has 0.43. And when you use 0.43, it's 105. It's 109. And I was just wondering why you use 0.5, please?
Good observation. It's the difference between net and gross. So the assessor uses the net property area, which would include the portions of the private road and Greenworth. So the gross area is the point, I think it was 0.5 or 0.51, 0.50.
And you have a deed that proves that?
Based on the survey measure, the calculations
Very
from the
good.
boundary survey.
Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 1406 Greenworth Place, please?
For those of you joining us online, go ahead and raise your virtual hand if you'd like to speak on this item. And seeing no hands.
Okay, because of state law and this and that, I think we should be careful to only address site planning issues today. So Dave, comments, please. And we're on for concept. Dave, please.
Yeah, given the context of the hedgerow property and all the constraints that you've explained, I can support the project given that it's completely screened from the street and the neighbors by a mature hedge.
Stacy, please, comments?
I agree with Dave. I think I could support it, and it's with all of the constraints. I looked at it carefully as well to see if I could rotate it and make it fit better. And most of the things that you pointed out are
Rob,
correct.
please. Oh, I'm sorry, Stacy. Are you there?
So yes, I'm inclined to approve it.
Rob, please.
My reference to squaring it up with the house and then maybe, reconfiguring the olive is something that I would prefer, but if this is what you want, then I support that. It's not the solution I would go for, but it's your house.
Bill, comments, please.
Yeah, I agree with the other board members. I think, in efforts to try and keep the peace with the neighbor as well, leaving the hedge as it is and it completely screened from the street and neighbors, I could approve it as submitted.
Robert, please.
I agree. I'm in support. I think it's very modest request on the setback modification, and I support it.
Yeah, I have no further comments. So where do we go next? You have no planner assigned.
Correct. We wanted to make sure that we got, supportive comments before we took the next step. So the next step, you'll see it after, in this case, you would see it after MPC approval for preliminary and final.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you all.
Item number 2, 2176 East Valley Road, please. Again, we're on for concept today. You were on 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, and they, for some kind of conflict on their side, and so we pushed them to today's meeting. So we may have seen this at home when we were office, when we reviewed it, but we've never seen it here before. Please. Are you on? There
Yeah,
you
good afternoon, Jarrett Gorin from Vanguard Planning. And I'm not used to coming to in person at this board. How do I control the screen? Do I ask you to control the screen? Okay, great. So this is a proposal. We're here for concept to replace a carport with a covered garage on this property up here in Montecito. And there's an aerial photo that kind of shows everything along. It's hard for me to point to our property on there. The property has an entrance off the road. There's a wall that kind of separates the property in half. That the front half of the property is all dedicated to parking, and the carport's there, and it's all gravel. And then the back half of the property has some landscaping, and then the house is all the way like touching the rear line of the property, and there's sort of like an alley or road back behind that. So this is what it looks like from East Valley Road, and it's got walls and a gate, and all of this stuff's permitted. So that's the experience from the street. Let's see the next photo. That's the carport that's there now. I'm not sure that meets current standards for parking space dimensions. It seems undersized to me when I'm out there. And then the whole parking area is just sort of this gravel, loose surface material. And then that wall that's right behind there, that's what I was talking about, where it sort of creates a division. Like there's the whole parking space on the site, and then there's the living space on the site is behind that wall. Let's go to the next one. So just another view. This is if you're on the other side of that wall looking back towards East Valley Road, and you can see some trees there. There's a big kind of cluster of oak trees that are right in the middle, and that'll be really evident on our site plan when we get to that. Let's see the next one. Yeah, just some more photos inside. So this is looking back towards the house. If you had just walked in through that little gate in that middle wall there. Let's just see the next ones. We may not have to go through all these because they're, yeah, there's the house. Let's go to the next ones. Street again. I don't think there's anything really super critical on the rest of these photos. This is just stuff in the areas that you can see for context. A lot of the houses on East Valley Road here have walls or fences that are right up at their front property lines, just because there's a fair amount of road noise. It's a long straight section of the road, and cars drive fast on it, and there's a fair amount of road noise there. So that's why you'll see a lot of walls and a lot of homes that are set back. We can go through some more, see what else we have. Yeah, so let's go over to the plans. And why don't we you might as well go all the way to the end to like the site landscape plan, and we'll use that for site plan discussion, and then we'll come back and look at the elevations. Yeah, so what you're seeing here is East Valley Road on the left, and then that entire parking area is sort of in the purple highlighted area, and that's everything that's in front of that wall. And then everything behind the wall is sort of outside of the area where we're doing anything other than like some landscape enhancements. So we're proposing to demolish the carport and replace it with a 2-car garage. There's some constraints to the geometry of our site. It's a pretty narrow site. So in order to make it so that cars can back out of the garage bays and execute a turn maneuver and leave the site pointed head out, which is critical for safety, we have to make the garage a little bit longer than just your absolute minimum 2-car garage, because we have to get wide enough garage bay doors on there so that the cars can sort of begin their turn maneuver before the whole nose of the car has gotten clear of the doorway. So that's what is driving the size of this garage up a little over like the bare minimum 20 by 20 you might see in a normal place. So we wanted to provide the space for the cars. The family, it's a relatively small house. We wanted to get them a little extra storage area, so we provide a little bit of extra space in that garage between the car bay that's on the right and then the far right side of the garage, you can see a little man door on that side. And then when we get into the elevations, we'll talk about the why we did them that way. But while we're here on the landscape plan, you can see the approximate drip line of those oaks that are in the middle of the site. So right now, that wall that cuts across the site is within that drip line. The carport's within that drip line. All the parking areas within the drip line, and so this garage is also going to be within that drip line. And we had Bill Spiewak take a look at all this and give us a arborist report, some recommendations, and there's no guarantee that we're expecting to lose this tree, and he's got tree protection measures, but he also recommended some mitigation for replacement trees to include in our landscape plan. And he didn't provide he provided a menu of options on that. So like one 48-inch oak, or we could do multiple oaks of smaller sizes. And we haven't determined yet what's going to be the best way to do that. And obviously we welcome your direction on what your preference is looking at that kind of a thing. So that is the story of the oak tree. I think on the last project, there was a question about what happens with the driveway apron and public works and all that. And they were correct that if you're not making alterations to that, there's nothing for public works to look at. So we're not making any alterations to our existing driveway or apron or the approaches or any of the visual clearances off of East Valley Road. Those all comply right now, and they'll still comply. The one change we'll make out there is there's a small tree that's close to the driveway that Montecito Fire has requested that we remove, but it's not like a significant, large canopy specimen tree or anything like that. Let's go ahead and go over to the elevations. So on the upper left, that is the street facing elevation. So we didn't want to have just a blank wall on there. We wanted to do something to it to articulate it a little bit and make it look like a small, like just maybe an accessory structure, that wasn't specifically a garage. The garage doors are 90 degrees perpendicular to the street, so that's you're not staring at garage doors directly. And then this is all behind that existing wall, but we wanted the front of it to have a little bit of interest on it. To the right of that is the back of the garage. There's nothing special there. Lower left, that's the other side of the garage, which is what we didn't want the front of the garage to look like, but that's just next to the wall in the middle of the site. And then the bottom right is the portion of the garage that faces towards our driveway and maneuvering area. So you can see those two garage doors are wider than your standard. I think I don't know the width of those off the top of my head, but they're wider than your standard 8-foot single bay doors. And then also we wanted to get the pedestrian door on there so that it wasn't only the garage doors on this side, but it's just a very utilitarian structure. It's about 13 feet tall, 1 story. There's nothing really super exciting about it, but we try to make it look nice and fit with the other architecture on the site, although it is quite a distance from the existing house. And this being a utility accessory building, we didn't want to doll it up with all of the architectural details that are on the main house, which is way back in the back of the site. So that's really the project. I can answer your questions at this point, or if there's anything you want to look at specifically.
Questions, Bill?
David, could you go a landscape plan real quick? So have you worked the templates for the radiuses coming out, and it works? Because you've got like 20 feet, 21 feet, maybe at best, to the property line from that.
Yes, we used the county doesn't have a vehicle template that I'm aware of, but we use the city of Santa Barbara vehicle design templates, which are pretty conservative.
And it works.
Which are like a 1972 Lincoln Continental type size car. And so we use those to confirm that this geometry all works. And the main reason it works is by being able to have those wider garage doors.
And I'm guessing they're 12 feet maybe or something probably to get that kind of dimension.
They might be, yeah. But we ran those templates, and so it's the turn in maneuver is very easy, and the turn out maneuver, the most constrained one, is the one that's closest to the right in this drawing, and we have plenty of room for the car to get out and then clear on that next maneuver.
And you didn't need to add a hammerhead onto the side of that one too, because you've got that walkway unless you.
No, it fits. It fits on there, and there's a little bit of overhang over the planter, I think, but it works.
And if you had to, I can appreciate they want a little more storage there in the garage, but if you had to and you were too close to those oaks, I guess you could shorten the length of that workspace on the right side of the garage door there, right? If you had to.
If we needed to, it actually coincides with the footprint of the carport right now. So it's not getting any closer to the oak tree. I think what we would want to do first is we've done this before when we've built entire structures under oak trees before, like ADUs that didn't have any requirements, but we still involved an arborist to make sure we didn't hurt the tree.
Sure.
And so what we end up doing in that situation is we do it rather than like a standard slab on grade foundation where we have to over excavate and recompact. We'll use like a grade beam and maybe a couple of caissons so that there's really limited penetration into the root zone. And it sort of just floats on top of it.
Yeah. Okay, that was all. Thanks.
Questions, Rob?
Jared, on the front walkway, did I see that was being replaced or is it staying? I got two different bits of information on it.
The walkway that is in between the garage and the house.
Yes.
I think this is a new alignment of that walkway. The current walkway goes, I think it goes straight up the side right next to that hedge.
The stone walkway.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, did you consider maybe combining that wall, that existing wall with the arch and then using the wall of the garage to maybe replace that wall of the garage so you didn't have kind of that weird little pie-shaped no man's land behind the garage?
We did consider that.
Okay.
And we would consider that again if that's critical. We don't want to. We're also trying to limit disturbance and alterations in there. So like this footing's there, it's been there for decades, and the tree's like cool with it, I guess. And rather than pulling that out and doing a new footing and a new wall, I guess we might just be pulling part of it out though. So that's something we would look at for sure.
Yeah. The arch is the good part, and then the rest is okay. So then the other aspect, what would you say if I said that having the door on the garage when it's nice, trying to get some kind of ornamentation on the building, but what would you say if I said like having that door face the street kind of lends the ability to be confused and to have people think that that's the entrance to the house now?
I suppose somebody could get confused about that. The fire department didn't have any concerns about that, and we took this out to them to get a preliminary review before we ever came in here.
Or I guess the question is that did you consider maybe like having the door more hidden, like on the side or something where that wasn't an issue, I guess?
There's no real magic or operational requirements for that door that faces towards the street. The one that's going to be used is the one that's back there by the wall. So we put the door on there because it made the bump out have like a purpose to it and look natural, but it could just as easily be a window, I suppose. It's that we're not
married to it.
We'll take your direction on that.
Okay. And that's my questions for now. Thank you.
Robert, please.
No questions.
Stacy, please.
Yeah, did you consider 90 degrees with the garage doors facing out towards the street and being able to come in and cross over to one side of the garage and be able to easily pull out and then pull back to the street forward? Did you try to model it that way at all and look at it from that angle?
We really didn't, because we didn't want both garage doors. We didn't want garage doors facing the street. it was our preference to have them be at 90 degrees so that it didn't scream garage. So this was by preference, and we were really careful about these turning movements to work. And if that's a serious concern of the board, the operational maneuverability of the cars, when we come back for project design approval, we can bring you the exhibit that shows those templates on here that you can see how they work.
Have you explored that manipulation of if you did have the garage doors? I mean, we don't usually encourage it, but yours is such an unusual situation and really difficult when I look at the backup radius and getting in and out is so tight.
Here's another reason we didn't want to do it is that even though the house is set back so far on this lot, there is a real sense of entry with that gate that's in that wall. And if we did a garage that was the 90-degree rotated version of this, the only thing you would see from the street is a garage. And you'd be like walking around the side of the garage to try to get to the house.
And did you explore a modification to put the garage further towards the property line at all?
We haven't done that, and that wouldn't. Oh, you mean further towards the side property line?
Yeah, exactly. To give you 5 more feet, 3 more feet at least, so that you have a little more space to work with.
We didn't because we don't need it. The maneuvering works.
Okay.
It works. We wouldn't design a garage that you can't pull cars into and out of, and we ran the templates on it. We have these templates in CAD. We don't do it with the transparency like
no,
we do it at the city. We ran the CAD model, the templates, and it's really not even that constrained. They work just fine.
Okay, those are my questions. That was it.
Dave, questions, please?
No questions.
And I have no questions. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 2176 East Valley Road, please?
Raise your hand if you're online, if you'd like to speak on this item. No hands raised.
Okay, so this is the first time we've seen it. We're on for concept comments. Bill.
Yeah, I think I can support what you've shown here. I'm still a little concerned about the templates working. Still looks a little tight. The door width obviously is going to help. That's why the carport worked, because you didn't have any doors to. I'm kind of on the fence with Rob's thought about the window versus a door. It might get a little confusing. I like the charm of the door. Maybe you dress it up. I would try to add a little bit of charm to the building to make it look a little closer to the house instead of it just being a vanilla package. Probably some nice doors as well, I think would be a nice feature. And I do appreciate on your architectural plans, you didn't show a planter between the wall on the bottom and the drive. And I think some kind of greenery there is going to be nice between the driveway and the wall there on the bottom side of that project. So I appreciate what you show here on the landscape plan. So I think I can support what you've got going there, generally speaking.
Rob, comments, please.
Yeah, no, generally I support where you're going, just minor comments, and reinforce what Bill said. I mean, I think maybe the window, or just more articulation of the building would be nice, and trying to have them kind of work together. On the courtyard, the walkway to me should be wider, and probably when, your landscape architect, Robert, draws it out, almost should be drawing each flagstone in there, because I think it'll come together better. And then what I noticed is that the gravel is right now shows as 2 different kinds of gravel. So I would just have one kind and simplify it, and that space could be really, really kind of nice. So it's just little finer details, and I think you're in the right completely there, and I can support it.
Stacy, comments, please.
Yeah, I think I can generally support it. I feel like you've gone through great lengths to try and come up with a workable design while at the same time being cognizant of the fact that we don't typically like garages facing streets. And also too, for it to feel like it has a sense of entry, because I assume this is how most people come into the house, or do they park on that back? I'm just curious.
Um,
Backside.
I'm not sure there's any parking available on the backside.
Yeah, it didn't look like it.
Yeah, this is their parking area for the house.
This is how everyone comes to the house. So yeah, no, I could generally support it, especially if it's screened and also too, I do agree with the other board members about the level of the architecture coming up to greet the house more in terms of style and not just basic. That's it.
Dave, comments, please.
Yeah, I think it's a good design solution and I appreciate your rotating the garage the way it is, so they're not looking at the doors, both for your client and also for the community. So I can support the project as proposed.
Can we see the photographs of the house, please, from the courtyard? That's it. Yeah, either of those, that's fine. That has a nice feel. The south, or yeah, south facing of the garage doesn't have that feel.
I
Not a question, that's a comment. It doesn't have that feel. Maybe you could take that as an inspiration. And I think a window would probably work better, but I think either can work out, but that has a nice quality to it where the other one kind of feels utilitarian first, aesthetics last, which is why we're here. So we're on for concept today. What do people want to do? What's your path? Only through us, no planning commission or anything, right?
There's no planning commission or anything. We will need a land use permit for it.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if we've submitted that yet, but we need to submit that before we come back here.
Right. So what do people want to do with this? I don't know. That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah,
Preliminary, final, full board. Put the template on there, particularly the one on the north side, the right-hand side, and find a way to dress it up a bit.
Sure.
Don, you did not ask me for my comments,
I am sorry. Comments.
but I want to echo your thoughts about the architecture. I see the rafters, I see the traditional detailing. I'm very pleased with the fact the doors don't face the street. I just want to make sure the architecture is detailed more to match the house and probably has maybe some of the same beamwork and probably some nice carriage house doors. But I think it's ready to go if you can incorporate that stuff.
Thank you for your comments. I apologize. Thank you, Jared. Okay, so we'll see you
Okay.
back here, full board, preliminary, final.
Excellent.
All the
Thanks so much.
details.
We'll have
Every-
manufacturer specs for the doors, everything.
What kind of roofing are you proposing?
Well, in this case, we would match the house with comp shingle. is what
Okay,
that looks like.
excellent. Okay, I have a conflict with the next item. Bill will,
Thank you.
Okay. Move to item 3830 Rockbridge Road. Give us your name.
Paul Rubison with Appleton Partners.
Go ahead.
Okay, so earlier today we did make a site visit of this project. At that time, we were able to kind of address some of the confusion at the previous hearing about the layout of the site, the location of both the existing private drive and the proposed location, as well as some of the neighboring properties beyond this parcel. So we'll point out a few of those details as we go through this package. I wanted to start by going through some of the feedback that was received at the previous hearing. So item number 1 was site visit requested.
Yeah, I could read those minutes
Okay.
for you. So site visit requested. Number 2, MBAR is not supportive of the proposed driveway access road. Consider retaining and widening existing driveway / access road to the north. Number 3, clarify and unify architectural style. Number 4, restudy site setting and the development's integration into the site topography. Number 5, provide 3D image or renderings of the building. Number 6, provide landscape plan. Number 7, submit arborist report. Okay, thanks, Paul. Go ahead.
Excellent. So going through the set, we wanted to point out that actually on the cover sheet, it was requested that we provide our FAR. That is in the lower left-hand corner. We are at 72% of the FAR for this property. On the next page, we do have the site plan. And we did expand the view of the property to show not just this development, but also in the upper right-hand corner, you can actually see the approach to the neighboring property. So to the north, we've got a gate to one of the neighboring residences. To the right of that, going clockwise, is a continuation of the private drive to a property. And then the third one beyond this parcel is off to the right from there. So it's kind of like a three-pronged fork. In this, we have had a series of meetings about the private drive. Previous comments from the board about the size of the private drive was addressed initially with the fire department. Their regulation is for 20 feet, but they are open to a 16-foot private drive. They did have requirements for a turnout, which would be required regardless of the location of the private drive, just because of the length of it. They also had a requirement for a fire hydrant that would be closer to all of these neighboring properties. And then from there, we actually had a conversation with the traffic department. Yeah, Mark, why don't you chime in and relay your conversation with them? This is Mark Lloyd.
Thank you, Paul. Honorable board members, my name is Mark Lloyd of L&P Consultants, representing the applicant today. Good afternoon. As Paul disclosed to you, this private driveway access, one route or the other, serves 4 lots. There's a lot immediately to the right side of the subject property, one to the upper end of the page there, and one in that angular driveway that goes up to the upper right-hand corner of the page. We have gotten condition letters through the subdivision review committee process from both the fire department and the road departments requiring that access be 20 feet wide and meet the standards of both those departments. As Paul was indicating, we've met with the fire department and they are inclined to reduce that to 16 feet with the installation of a fire hydrant, as Paul was mentioning. Also, I had discussions with Will Roberson at the road department. He has indicated that their standards is 20 feet and the only mechanism to alleviate that requirement is to go through a design review exception application with the road department. In his preliminary review, he indicated that conditions may appear to be favorable for that exception, but we'll know that until that application would be made. In regards to widening the driveway, we believe that widening the existing driveway rather than availing ourselves of the proposed driveway over the existing dirt road, that results in a greater number of impacts to oak trees for the project overall. In addition to the oak tree impacts, on the west left-hand or upper side of the driveway access, the existing driveway access, is a tall privacy hedge and a stone wall. And the neighbors believe from their perspective that removal of that would cause additional impacts. Widening the driveway to, I'm going to bring that up. Widening the driveway to the required standards is not simply adding a width onto each side of the driveway. It needs to meet the standards for public health and safety access. According to our geologists, this is likely going to result in us having to remove the pavement, regrind it to reuse it, scarify and recompact the roadway surface or the roadway subgrade, and then do the prerequisite widening to that. So in utilizing the existing driveway, it is not simply just overlaying it and doing some additional paving. It is equal to doing a new road construction project in many aspects. And therefore, with that kind of operation, you end up with the impacts that you would have to the oak trees, which is impacts that are part of the P&D review standards or the Montecito Land Use and Development Code standards that involve critical root zone and other factors. Paul, if you can bring up the biologist exhibit,
David, if you don't mind.
and I'm just going to introduce you to it. Then I want to turn it over to Mark de la Garza, and I believe that Mark is hanging on somewhere.
That's yep, you've got it right there. So if you go to the third page there you go.
So the upper exhibit, what we've entitled as option 1, shows the proposed private driveway and the impacts there. And then over on the left-hand or right-hand side, it has all of the legend materials that I identified, the various color coding components, the dots for various trees, and the various levels of impacts that result from them. And then we have as option 2 on the lower half, a comparison of that of widening the existing driveway. And from that, we end up with more removals of trees, more impacts, potential impacts, substantial impacts to trees, and more, well, actually we have less impacting impacts to trees. So the overall result is that we have a greater number of impacts. And to get into the specifics of that, Mark de la Garza, are you on the line?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. My name is Mark de la Garza. I'm with Watershed Environmental. I'm a project biologist. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. We did a biological assessment for this property, and we went out and measured the tree canopies, the extent of the tree canopies of all of the trees, and created these figures for the project and analyzed the tree impacts using the County of Santa Barbara Tree Impact Assessment criteria, which is the tree canopy plus 6 feet beyond the tree canopy, and any encroachment within that critical root zone greater than 20% is considered a significant impact. And so with the proposed project, we identified 6 trees that could potentially be that had greater than 20% encroachment into the critical root zone, and 3 trees that would be removed. And with this road widening alternative, widening of the existing road, the significant impacts to trees greater than 20% encroachment into the critical root zone is 13 trees, and it would require removal of 6 trees. So, removal of 6 trees. So the impacts are roughly double of what would occur if the new road were constructed, if the applicant was required to widen the existing road.
Thank you, Mark. So from that presentation, you can see that the proposed road, the proposed new driveway, is the environmentally superior project for this application. In addition to the road there, you can see in that shaded or hatched area on the lower right-hand side of the plan, that area involves or depicts the creek and the setback criteria. And part of our project is proposing a full repair and restoration of that area, which we will be making an application to the Department of Fish and Wildlife for that. So we feel that putting the road over on this side is, due to constraints, is the environmentally superior impact. or the environmentally superior project. And in regards to grading quantities, the plan itself shows the quantities for the proposed road between cut and fill. And most of that is, again, this recompaction and removal processing. If you look at the grading plan, you can see that the grades of the road doesn't really change that much. The differential between new contours and the existing contours is basically the addition of paving material. I don't know if you can read the grading plan.
That's going to be in the MBAR exhibits, the left tab. And go to the beginning of the set. Oh, actually, yeah, number 2. This is actually the first one in red was the existing property, how it was situated. This is the grading plan.
Could you bring us back to that prior drawing? We might as well get that knocked out here too. So what we did is as you know, this site was a Thomas debris flow destruction site, as the site to the south was. And so the red hatch footprint shows where the existing driveway, the dirt driveway that services the rear yard of this property was at, and then where the house footprint was, and then other paved areas and disturbed areas. Up at the upper right end near the north line up against the creek was a swimming pool and deck areas of there. There was a carport there. So this exhibit is demonstrating that the proposed development is relatively close to the footprint of the existing development. Thank you. Then on to the grading plan. And as I was saying with the grading plan, the grades for the roadway or the driveway are not much different than the existing. They're in a grayscale, but I think in the field I pointed that out. Most of you saw that. It's basically just adding a pavement to it. There's one area down along the south property line where the road has been eroded out, or the dirt road's been eroded out. They have to fill the driveway a foot and a half in that area. So the grading quantities for that is a total cut fill of 600 cubic yards. I did a quick takeoff on the 300-foot length, and the proposed driveway is 450 feet, so it's 50% longer, or 1/3 more of the distance of the existing driveway. And so the quantities are lower, and there is no need to change or raise or lower grade on the existing driveway if it was rebuilt. But you have to do the recompaction, and the calculation for that was 375 cubic yards. So pretty proportional to the length differential between the two.
Well, do you want to show us some of your architecture too?
Yeah, if I could just finish up. And just quickly, we lowered the pad by 1.5 feet, and the retaining wall that is between the house and the driveway, the highest is 6 foot at one point, peters out to virtually nothing to the south, and then reduces to 3 feet and then 0 feet as you go to the north. That's the end of my presentation on that aspect of the application.
All right. So returning to the set, we can move from here through the plan. This has been refined since the last time that we presented, but for the most part, it's very similar in scope and concept. We will be showing you in our 3D renderings how we have been selecting materials and addressing the board's comments about the architectural style. So I think we can move through the next few images pretty quickly. We have the roof plan, the exterior elevations. You'll note that all roofs are now clay tile. We have removed the metal roof element. If you want to, and also, we've got plate heights that range from 9 feet and it steps up to 11, and then the tallest structure having an 11-foot top plate. And we are well below our height limits for this property. If you want to move on to the next page, this is a landscape exhibit we've developed. There is a significant portion that is the restoration scope. We do have, those of you that were on site saw that we have actually a number of the box oaks on site and ready for that project to begin. There are a total of 27 new live oaks that are part of that restoration scope. Well, actually, 27 in mitigation. There's 14 in the restoration area, and then 13 that are placed throughout the property, in addition to the restoration area. Um, this here, I don't know if we want to zoom in on any of the plant selections or if the board has already, reviewed that, but I mean, we could run through and see.
We can do that in questions too.
Absolutely. Yep.
Something.
But this is a concept design. I know that the previous time we presented, one of the comments received is that the drawing set was very engineering heavy, and that was because we've actually been through a very lengthy process of analyzing the property, working with our biologists, with our engineers, and with the design input that we received last time we presented, we've actually since then met with the client and had some more defining conversations about the architectural style and the development of the property as a whole. So this was developed to kind of show the plant palette and the location of proposed new trees and shrubs, as well as some ground covers. If you want to go back to that MBAR exhibit package, we actually do have, you probably got a quick glimpse of it after these diagrams. This is that pavilion element, and in our conversations about the design, we've actually developed this more into a Spanish colonial style. With the clay tile roof, plaster walls, some terracotta tile elements, and the steel and glass windows. And you can see this kind of framed by some of the oaks in the foreground. If you want to go to the next image, this is, coming around the corner. This is kind of an area that they look at being able to entertain, but also from the inside is looking out into the oak grove. And then if you want to go to the next one, we included the entry gate. This is the point where it will be accessed not just to this property, but the neighboring properties. So we've been discussing with the neighbors about this path of travel and the overall design of this property. One comment that we've received from the neighbors is with the existing location of the private drive, which is further to the left of where this snapshot is taken, lots of people get kind of lost in this neighborhood and they end up going up that private drive, realizing that it's a dead end, turning around and coming back out. I pointed out to a couple of the board members that there's also some oak trees that the branches have gotten hit by, trucks that have done that very turnaround maneuver. The neighborhood is actually very supportive of this as being the new way to go to their properties. And we actually have a few letters of support that we've provided for the board to review, including a letter from the Neighborhood Mutual Water Company, and every board member is a neighborhood member, so this is part of their community. I don't know, do we want to read those or just have those?
I'll read them. Exhibit? Yeah, I'll be reading those later.
And then the last image that we have in that exhibit package is we went ahead and we put together a material board so you could see some of the selections that we're making.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I may, so our request to you is to move this application on to preliminary review. We would like that to be with the 20-foot wide driveway width. We are committing our best efforts and our clients' funds to making a design exception application to Public Works Roads Department and pursue that to reduce that width to 16 feet. So you have our commitment of best efforts and good faith to do that. It's something that would need to happen during the grading permit process, but that is what my client is committed to do. So that's the request we have of you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to questions. Dave, do you have questions?
No questions.
Stacy, questions?
No questions.
Rob, questions?
Yeah, I have kind of a big question. I mean, if this were a project about which road is better, I mean, you've convinced me. What I can't get past is I'm trying to understand if I were to, for the owner's sake, if I bought this property, why would I be okay? Like, so first of all, and also understand why your neighbors would support this because all the impacts are on these folks' lot. So I'm trying to understand from the owners why they would be okay with basically having a road bisect their property, why they'd be okay with having the loss of a creekside experience on their property now being replaced by a road. Um, it's also, I mean, I think the new house is so compromised. The entry motor court is compromised. The rear terrace is compromised. And so in terms of space, and so I'm trying to get past, I understand the road situation. I mean, you convinced me the environmental, which way to go. I guess I wanted to hear from the owners as to, because it seems like there's a lot of things they're giving up in order to have this road, and I can see why their neighbors are jumping for joy. So I'm just trying to understand why these folks would be in support of that, and maybe
I can offer up a few
so
if you like.
we do. So I mean, if she convinces me, then you've all the other stuff with the road kind of comes into play. So
Hi, Ashley Adelson. I'm the owner of this property. Again, thank you so much for coming out this morning and walking the site. I know we've been working on this for a while and I appreciate all your time on this matter. We've spent a lot of time looking over this property. We've spent a number of years working on it. We do recognize that there is a creek there, although on the other side of that creek, we don't think it's a very particularly beautiful creek and environment there. On the other side of that is Riven Rock Road, which has the Hot Springs hiking trail, and the number of people at all hours of the night that are walking up there with flashlights, cars driving up, cars parking all along that road at all hours of the night. I'm sure you are very well aware of the Hot Springs hiking trail situation. When we're on the property and we look, I don't know what direction that is, but facing not where the existing driveway is, it's a huge oak savanna that's beautiful. You get the the golden hour that shines through there, and that after spending multiple years on that property, we feel very confident that's the way we want our house orientated, and that's the way we want to spend our time on the property in the garden.
okay, I mean that's what I wanted to hear. I mean, I wanted to hear that you were going in this with eyes wide open because to me you're giving up a lot, and if that's you've like the trade-offs are there for you, then I'm convinced by in terms of the environmental better way to have the road. So I just wanted to hear it from you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Rob.
I'll retract my offer to make comments.
Robert,
Retract my offer to make comments.
Robert, questions?
So the comparisons between the two drives were both at 20 feet?
That's correct. Yeah, we had the same conditions that we made for both of them, where it's 20 feet. We made all the same fire department regulation impacts as part of our impact study for both options.
Okay, no more questions.
Yep.
And my question is, if you're proposing the 16-foot to the Public Works folks, if you proposed it on the main existing drive, would that lessen the impact of the oaks?
Yes.
By significant?
To a degree. I mean,
Proportionally.
some of those, there were actually, when we looked at it, 16 trees that we were at risk of losing with this development. So some of those red dots would become orange, you know.
They'd be in the critical route, but not
Exactly.
definitely gone away.
Definitely reducing the width is going to reduce the impact by that 3 or 4 feet.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Sure.
As you may recall, there's a cluster of oaks up at the northerly end of the private driveway through this property, and they're pretty close to the road. So I'm not going to quibble. There might be a few more. I would just say it's proportional, and yes, so a reduction is good all the way around.
And in a way, based on what the owner says, you're creating an extension of the oak grove that's there now by
That's correct.
moving the road and filling the road with oaks.
Indeed, as we disclosed at the site visit and in the plan project description, we're going to remove the pavement. We're going to plant trees in that that existing road corridor too.
Rehabilitate
So
that.
we're gonna buttress that or supplement that oak woodland even
Okay.
further.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to public comment. First, let's see, there's public comment, and then I'll read the letters. Unless some of those folks are on, if anyone's on.
You'd like to speak on this item, go ahead and raise your virtual hand and I'll call on you. No virtual hands.
Okay, can you bring up those letters, David? So to whom it may concern, I'm writing once again in support of the proposed relocation of the private shared driveway associated with the project currently under review. We currently live at 850 Rockbridge Road adjacent to the parcel. We've been in communication with our neighbors for 3 years regarding this potential project. In my opinion, the road relocation offers several clear benefits that directly support the long-term health, safety, and aesthetic of the property and surrounding area within the Riven Rock community. The new alignment provides greater width and improved vehicle access, included for emergency vehicles and service trucks, and eliminates concern of low-hanging oak limbs that currently pose a hazard. It also enhances privacy by removing the unnecessary and ongoing car traffic from the public trailhead zone that we are now all managing, which has become a high-use area for hikers and sightseers. Cars frequently drive up our driveway looking for the trail and parking. This occurs at all times of the day, including the middle of the night. The proposed relocation will reduce unwanted drive-by traffic, minimizing visual intrusion, and create more peaceful approach to our home and the neighboring homes. Importantly, I understand both the fire department and the project biologist are in favor of this adjustment. The planned addition of a new hydrant at the top of the drive further demonstrates the thoughtful planning being taken to improve the fire safety and long-term resiliency. I believe this revision is both reasonable and responsible, and I support it wholeheartedly. Sincere, Jennifer Advant Estus, homeowner, 850 Rockbridge Road. And do we have another? Okay. I'm writing it once again in support of the relocation of the private shared driveway. Currently under review. We currently live at 854, directly adjacent to the parcel. It sounds like it's kind of the same letter. I believe it is. It's the same letter, just with a different homeowner's name, Scott Adelson, homeowner, 854 Rockbridge Road. Okay, was that it? Just those two? Okay, on behalf of the Mutual Water Company, the Board of Directors, write in support of the proposed relocation of the private shared driveway currently under review with Riven Rock Community. Riven Rock Mutual Water Company is a community-run effort responsible for managing our private roads, gates, bridges, and shared potable and irrigation water systems in our charming and historic community. As stewards of the character and beauty of Riven Rock, we recognize the importance of approaching any development or change with care, thoughtfulness, and a deep respect for the history and environment that define this place. In this case, we believe the proposed driveway relocation is a considered and appropriate adjustment that reflects those values. We understand that the new alignment will not only improve vehicular access and circulation, notably by eliminating the dead-end road, but by widening the proposed shared driveway for emergency and service vehicles, and also eliminating existing hazards such as low-hanging oak limbs. More importantly, we appreciate the project's collaboration with the Montecito Fire Department to enhance safety, including installation of a new hydrant, a meaningful improvement in fire preparedness and response. From an environmental standpoint, we also recognize that this parcel sits in a critical point along Hot Springs Creekside Wildlife Corridor. The driveway relocation allows for better visibility and stewardship of the riparian zone, a priority we share as a community rooted in both preservation and safety. We find that this proposal strikes the right balance between progress and preservation, and we support it as a thoughtful enhancement to the long-term well-being of the community. Sincerely, Jeff Hagan, Vice President, Riven Rock Mutual Water Company Board of Directors, along with multiple other board members.
You have that with all the signatures also.
Okay, yeah, great, thank you. Okay.
We do have a copy. We do have a copy of that where all signatures have been applied.
You just mentioned that too. All right, thank you. We're going to close public comment. We're going to go back to the board for comments. David, what's your comment?
Yeah, so this is an interesting project because I think across the board, everybody has concerns, but they really have to do with the homeowner and the compromises they're making. And really, our purview is more about the community and the impacts to the community. And when, as you've explained the project, first of all, you're improving the fire safety, which is super important. This new driveway alignment preserves a greater amount of the trees. You're restoring the creek habitat. You are addressing your neighbors' concerns, and they're all very happy with it. So ironically, I think from the hat that we wear reviewing projects, you're doing all the right things. My main concern is you're giving up a lot for that. There's a lot of design opportunities that you're missing, but if this is your preference, which you very well expressed, then for those reasons, I can support where you're going with the project. I really like the idea of reducing the driveway, and I think that benefits you greatly. So if you're able to get that approved, but I can support the 20 feet. I really like not having the metal roof and the direction you're going with the design. It's interesting. I think you've rendered the most successful part of the architecture, and you've in your 3D views, and you've kind of not shown the rest that I think is less successful and needs to come up to that level. So I would expect you to come back with more refinements that tie the architecture together. And it just seems like that pavilion is really nicely done, but the rest of the architecture has a ways to go. But in general, I think you're doing the right thing for the community, and so I can support it. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Dave. Stacy?
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more like recent, more difficult projects to review. And I look at it a little bit differently than Dave. I see it as highly environmentally impactful, putting a road in through an environmental sensitive habitat along the creek, as opposed to just widening the existing road. I feel like from a grading standpoint, it's going to be a much greater impact to put in a new road. But also too, I think part of it too is maybe you want to come back, and I don't think that it was successfully modeled how you would actually expand the existing road. I think it was kind of exaggerated from my point of view to increase the level of impact and try to describe it that way, as opposed to if it was done more carefully and within the easement lines that are granted to that road. Um, it makes it seem far more impactful than I believe it would actually be. But I also think too, from an environmental impact, it's a much greater road, a much longer road, a much bigger road, and putting it through the property and cutting off the house from kind of a riparian habitat. It's not just the creek, it's the habitat adjacent. And no matter what you do, you have to do an environmental restoration on this project because of the ESH zone. Typically, when there's a development, that's usually the trigger. If you're going to touch it in any way, shape, or form, at least it has been on most of my projects when I have that. I hope that you would want to restore it anyway and increase the habitat, but you're decreasing the level of habitat restoration with the road. So I feel like for me to approve it, I would have to see both scenarios modeled with a 16-foot wide road that I believe Montecito Fire would approve, absolutely. It's a 2-lane passable. I have also seen them improve with gravel as the pull-offs and other ways to expand it that are a much more gentle way of expanding a roadway and still giving great fire access. I have no problems with the architecture, the situation of the architecture, the style. I think that's all fine. Yes, the front of the house, I think, could use more work for Dave's comments, but currently I don't think that I can support it with the road going through and through an ESH zone when we have an existing road that wouldn't take much to modify with fewer environmental impacts, regardless of what the biologist report says. I think a different biologist might find a different conclusion if it was modeled differently. That's it.
All right, thanks, Stacy. Rob? Comments?
I have, let me ask you a question. Are the entry gates is that allowable because you don't have the stacking space? Is that allowed on the private road to not have the stacking space? To be able to have to have motor auto gates across the driveway there?
I believe we'll be required to have the stacking distance regardless.
So that doesn't seem even possible with what's drawn. Unless you were to kind of come in and create the driveway into that and redesign that and approach it from another standpoint, because you're not going to be able to get, obviously not be able to get some automobile gates there. Let me ask you this. You might lose a few more oaks. Did you at all look at the notion of where the road meets up above, where the road kind of connects back? If you were to kind of dive out into that a little bit more. When we looked at that this morning, it was kind of going into the slope a little bit. There's some oaks there, but it seems like that if you were able to do that at the expense of a few oaks, that suddenly you basically allow yourself the ability to have a bigger motor court, the ability to maybe have some more success with the rear terrace, because the rear terrace is kind of kind of compromised by where it is and the lack of and the room that the owner has given up in order to allow this road. So I mean, Stacy's made some good points, but for me, it was where the owner, if the owners want this, then and they're giving up a lot, then I'm okay with where you're going with it on that standpoint. I just think there's some improvements that could be made. And so I guess, do you have the ability to maybe lose a few more oaks? Did you look at that and have that road right where it flattens out and goes by the entry, where it kind of, maybe juts out a little bit more, where you buy yourself some more room? So anyways, that's uh, so as far as the landscape plan, I think the conceptual landscape plan really need the concept landscape plan is just basically showing a few plants that you're picking. It's not the level of the conceptual landscape plans that we normally see come into this board. And I think I'm looking for a more sophisticated hardscape landscape plan that basically develops the hardscape and the backyard and the terraces and kind of weaves all those spaces together. I mean, right now I see some formal patios back there. They're not connected. The circulation is not really identified. And so I really think that what we're looking for is to have a more sophisticated hardscape landscape plan. And that kind of marries all those pieces, hardscape, landscape together. So anyways, so yeah, I guess, again, I struggle with, and the compromises the owners made, but they've been clear that that's what they want to do. So from that standpoint, I would support you, but I think there's a lot of improvements that still need to happen from my perspective. So thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Robert?
I really appreciate the architecture and the direction you've gone. I'm still perplexed about the driveway situation. If we could just make the existing road 16 feet, that would be my call. I wouldn't want a road 8 or 10 feet away from my bed headboard in the master bedroom, but I realize you have a gate and that would limit the traffic. But if the owner's okay with that, who am I to say? I think there was a simpler solution, and that would be just to make the existing road a little wider. I don't know. I think there's also a historical aspect to my mind of Riven Rock and all of a sudden changing up the roads in there. But I can support this if the owner's okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Thanks, Robert. Yeah, I too, we all had a little issue with the rerouting the driveway. The owner's comments certainly helped sort of soften my feeling about it, and I think I could support the drive as it's shown. But at the same token, for me, I kind of feel like the house is just jammed up against that edge of the driveway there. And if there were way, even if you had maybe one corner of it close and maybe the garage shifted up on the sheet and you got that a little further away, just to kind of, or maybe the whole house could go a little closer to the oaks. I know that's kind of a concern there too, but maybe you could still keep it in the 20%. So I kind of feel like, if I'm going to okay the driveway, I think the house needs to kind of shift and scoot a little to, and maybe it's a combination of, taking it off a big mound that's sitting up there and not have it mounted so high and scooting it up a little bit and shifting a little bit of the floor plan. And then the architecture, I too agree with Dave. I think what you rendered looks great, but we're not seeing the whole thing rendered. So if you can keep that level, which we know you guys can do that with the rest of the house, then there's some areas there where the window fenestrations look a little interesting, a little different. Like there's an entry, it's kind of small, and then you've got these real tall horizontal windows, and then you've got very tall arches. And so, I think there's some work that needs to happen there. Maybe you haven't gotten to that yet, really, in terms of the extent of it, uh, uh, because you've been working so hard on the road. Generally I can support the road, but I think with some of these adjustments that can be made to the house to make it just a little better for the owner, I think. Because I think she is too giving up a lot, but I think if she's going to give a little bit there, then maybe make it a little better for her on the house itself. Maybe reducing the retaining wall heights and the mounding, and if the grades can work, I think that's all reasonable to ask. So I think, if I took a vote, the people I see, I know Stacy is against. But if I had to ask for a raise of hands on the driveway as submitted here, proposed, how many would vote for that? So we got one. Are you in favor of the driveway? No? No?
I think there's enough site plan issues and improvement of the floor plan in conjunction with the road. Again, we're struggling with what the owner's giving up, and I think some of those things, do you want entry gates? If you want entry gates, then that's got to be you got to relook at that and restudy that. And I think you could move around a few pieces, and get there, with where you're trying to take the road. But it seems like there's more work that needs to be done to kind of resolve some of these things for us to kind of then sign off and move you to the next level of conceptual review or preliminary review, I guess. And is what I'm seeing. That's what I'm hearing the board say myself. But
So if I was to ask for a vote today from you, Rob, would you say you're not ready to vote in favor of this particular driveway?
I've made my comments on where I think the improvements need to be, and I think they're significant. That I just think another round of trying to improve a few things would make me feel a lot better about what the owners are giving up, and then making this a successful project. I think everybody's reacting to the fact that the house is jammed up against the road, and we can't see living there. That seems like it'd be very compromised. And so I think some of those things need to be improved. I don't know. I asked that question. Does the road have the ability to push out a little more there? At all? Is there, buy yourself some more room? Seems like that would maybe solve a lot of my concerns on that thing, where where the throat of the driveway comes in and then where the motor court is, I mean, you're gonna lose a few more oaks, but do you have that ability? I mean, I looked at that, that was just open field if I was correct on that.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
can I respond?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we talked about in the field, I think what you're saying is to push the house to the left a bit.
No, actually, what I'm saying now is, can the road bulb out a little bit more and then meet back up? So what you do is you come around that corner and then it goes flat and heads towards meeting up with the intersection of
So
that.
you're saying push that curve a little bit to the
Yeah,
right.
like make that curve a little bit
Yeah,
more robust, and then that buys you the space to maybe pull the house back and get you more motor court, get you more rear terrace yard, and maybe get you away from the road a little bit, I guess.
It's a little difficult on the upper part of the motor court because I have 3 large oak trees right across. Pulling that curve up a little bit, may go up 5 feet, 7 feet, something like that, and have a little bit more of a reverse in there in front of the driveway.
Yeah, that
would work.
Yeah.
And pull that away, that would work. I'm right up against, as you may know, the reductions you can do to it, an ESHA setback is 25 feet through the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And so that edge of the driveway is virtually there. But as you go through that curve, it comes back to the 50. So there's room to do that there.
Okay. Yeah, and I can't admit to know how nice those oaks are that you'd be giving up if you were to lose a few, or whether if you pushed it somewhere else, there's some other oaks that are not as, or you know, you got to size up what are the best oaks and maybe work from there and see if you can push it one way or the other, anyways.
Yeah, and I know you realize that we're in the process, as we all do in these projects, of balancing policies, and so it's. But I think there's some room to move some stuff around a bit.
So where does the board want to do? Do we, I mean, at this point, if I took a straw vote, it would be 2 in favor and 3 probably against, and I would rather continue this, give you those comments that we have, and then see if we can win it.
Yeah, we're here for conceptual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got to come
Yeah.
back anyway.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
that's right, your concept, right, okay.
Mr. Chair, again, if I can comment, we're asking to go to preliminary and address those things. Not preliminary and final. I sense there's more work to do there.
What do we want to do, folks? Further concept, you're saying? Everybody agree with that? Yeah. So agendize it for next would be for preliminary review on the next agenda. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You cannot give me an approval before the hearing.
Okay.
We realize that.
All right. Well, then we'll get it in for preliminary next time.
We're trying to get you there.
I understand that. I'm biting my tongue.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
your efforts.
Yep. Thanks. Yeah. Yep.
To call, yes, I'd like to call the board back to order. We're now up to item number 4, 695 Ashley Road. We don't have the whole group?
Some of them might be online.
Okay. Okay, so we did have we had board comments before. Carefully thought out and modest project, return with detailed renderings and scale for bathroom structure. Consider a different color for the asphalt at proposed turnout. Consider the proportions of the bathroom structure. The overhang is too small and the windows are too low on the bathroom structure. Consider changes to door at bathroom structure, appears too tall and too squared within the proposed arch. Consider enlarging the rain water retention basin.
Good afternoon, Chair Watson. Thank you for reading the minutes from the last meeting. Just to do some quick introductions, my name is Caitlin Ernest with SEPS Land Use Consulting. We have Kaylee Grubb, landscape architect with Arcadia. Online, we have a couple more design team members, including Serena Edelson with Harrison Design and Robert Schmidt, civil engineer with Flowers and Associates. And in the audience behind us, we have Rebecca Anderson and Adam Flint with Lotus Land, and Laura Bridley on our team as well. So just to give a quick recap, since you've last seen the project, it was here in October 24 and granted to return for preliminary and final approval. Since you've seen it last, the proposed visitor restroom and bus turnout have actually been removed from the scope of work. So today we will just be reviewing the tree removal and landscaping associated with the water storage project. And on this plan set, you will also see the small greenhouse relocation, just to document its relocation. It is small enough and has no utilities, so it is exempt, but it's still included on this planning set. And yeah, we just want to really highlight the great community benefit that the water storage project will be, as it will capture stormwater runoff that is historically run through the property and capture it and reuse it on site to reduce reliance on the on-site wells and public water sources. So our presentation from Kaylee will be brief today, just reviewing the proposed landscaping and the tree removal associated with the water storage project. So I'll turn it over to Kaylee.
Sounds good. So as you'll see, the scope of this has been narrowed down, and it's really been Lotus Land's been doing a lot of thinking. They are just so focused on being a leader in resource management on the property, and so their highest priority, and so and that's why this has been kind of distilled down into this scope for the water catchment project, is to be able to sustainably manage the water on their property. As you may remember, there's a 180,000 gallon storage, water storage reservoir offsite that Lotus Land uses through an easement. And so it's been very hard to maintain. It leads to a lot of leaks because there's a lot of piping that goes off property and back on. And so this project is Lotus Land's highest priority. And so lots of careful thought has gone into the siting of this reservoir. And then also Lotus Land is wanting to be the best steward they can of the aesthetic value that Lotus Land provides. And so the extra effort of design and financial impacts of putting this reservoir underground have been a priority for Lotus Land, and it's why we're able to underground it and restore the canopy in this area. The location, as you may remember from last time, I won't belabor it too much, is selected because there is a well at this location that so this reservoir will be able to double as water catchment and treatment, and also storage for that well. And then it's in a location where stormwater comes through 2 storm drains and it's untreated and then disperses on the property at many times, creating a nuisance. And so it's a great opportunity to be able to treat the water that's coming through and not change the overall flow and direction that the water flows through that end of the property. We can go to the next sheet. Let's see that's just the little greenhouse relocation. so this is, abutting Sycamore Canyon Road. The major water catchment and treatment components are the 200,000 gallon reservoir underground and two consecutive bioretention basins for the water treatment. There's also associated pumps and filters that are going to be housed in I think it's 7 by 7 by 8 approximately utility enclosure. And so we have provided an extra layer of screening in this set since the last time you saw it. Otherwise, the tree planting is, I believe, similar to the last time you saw it. This is just the tree removal plan that we went over with at the site visit with Stacy and Robert. We have taken an approach. Originally, we were removing more eucalyptus from this area, and after further study, we really don't want to impact the shade canopy to the existing tropical garden significantly. So any of the healthy eucalyptus that are in the existing tropical garden are to remain, and the eucalyptus that are being removed are delineated by this orange dashed line. We can go to the next. So this is the restoring the canopy in this area. The area that's going to be over should I carry this around, David? So this area, the reservoir is going to go underground here. So this area has really been dedicated as a riparian planting area, all native trees. It's just going to have an erosion control mix over the grading for now. And it's mostly Quercus agrifolia, umbellarias. And Lotus Land wants to try a few of the Torrey pines with the genetics from the islands. So that'll be a little bit of a test to see if we can get them in the skyline there. And then as we move uphill where we don't have the reservoir underground, we're calling that the quercetum, so more of a collection of oaks, native and other varieties. We have like the cork oak and the Engelmann oak mixed in with the agrifolias. And then this area, we have a few ficus added into there to provide any quicker shade canopy for the tropical and to kind of transition into the tropical garden there where some of the eucalyptus will be removed, and we don't want to lose all of that shade over time. So that is the basics. Yeah, we can go to the next sheet. And then this is showing the screening. So there's this relatively small pump and equipment enclosure at that end, and it's not element that can be undergrounded easily. And so instead we are taking the opportunity behind the pink wall and, sorry, it's a little grainy on the screen, and in front of the chain link fence that are existing, we're providing a native buffer screen in there, which has been a long-term direction that Lotus Land has wanted to go in with a native riparian buffer for habitat and beneficial insects and things. So, rather than Lotus Land is not endeavoring to create native gardens in there, throughout the property. It's more where we have these buffer zones to be able to support the existing gardens of the property is the direction they're heading in. I think that's it. You can keep going. And there's the full civil plans for the water catchment system. I think I'll wait for questions to see if you want to go through that in more detail.
So you're done with your presentation?
Yes.
It's out of the project. They took it out of the project. Robert, are you familiar with this area of Montecito? Would you like to start, please? You grew up on.
If Madam Konowalski was alive today, would she like this? Does this fit with her vision of Lotus Land? Can you explain to me how it is compatible with her vision?
Yes, I can. So the existing tropical garden has always been there for a long time, but it has not been. It's a pretty narrow strip in there, and it's so that is really an expansion of what is original to the property. if we think about her broader vision for the property, she's always created these amazing collections in very artistic ways with a vision that I don't think any of us um, have, but we do our best to, channel her original vision. And so that's where this idea for the quercetum came up. It's something that doesn't exist on the property, but it's in the same idea of creating a collection of rare plants. It gives us opportunity. We're starting with oaks that we know we can find, but then it's giving us a chance to add to that collection as we find rare species and varieties. And then the water catchment is and this is why we're undergrounding it, why it was a huge priority to underground it, is because it's not part of the infrastructure it's not a garden in itself, but it's supporting her gardens that she was so passionate about. And right now we just are in an unsustainable situation where our water is off-site and it's breaking all the time, and we just need a more sustainable access to water for the property to sustain her original envisioned gardens. So.
No more questions.
Casey, questions, please.
I did the site visit with them, so I think I'm good. No questions.
Dave, questions, please.
No questions.
Rob, questions, please.
Just a quick question. So are the ukes gonna have an allelopathic quality to them, right? Toxicity to
Yes.
So is like trying to keep more of the ukes. I understand you're trying to keep the shade they provide, but is there some transition where maybe you can do it with sycamores or something, or big leaf? Is it big?
Yeah.
Something where you can have that shade overstory and then still maintain the tropicals over time?
That's a good question. So the allelopathic qualities are why we're transitioning away from them, where we have to impact the grades anyways. But in the existing tropical garden, Lotus Land staff has been able to have the plant life thrive underneath them. And so it would be such a major overhaul of that existing tropical garden to dig them out, because some of the DBHs are probably 48 or more inches on some of them. And so it would change the inherent quality of that existing garden, but we don't want to deal with that long-term for the expanded areas.
You're just slowly but surely going to transition it.
Yeah.
Right.
And your question to the sycamores, I had them all over the plan in the first round, and Lotus Land has found that there's a borer that is attacking the sycamores just down Sycamore Canyon Road right now, and they didn't want to risk attracting them up into the garden. So
or you would use what, the maple, the big is it big leaf, or which one?
I ended up mostly using the oaks, and that's when we added a few of the Torrey pines and the bay and things like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bill, questions, please.
So when I look at the topography, I'm probably misreading it, but it looks like obviously the catchment is a man-made square rectangle there. And it looks like the topo follows that hard line. That is
underground. Yeah, okay. It is a little deceiving. So that's the grading for the basin to go in, and then it gets graded for the bioretention basins over the top.
There's another drawing.
It might be easier to go to the civil plan, sheet 10. Okay.
It shows a more organic catchment area.
Yeah. So there's two consecutive bioretention basins. So this is the engineered looking one. And that's all underground. That's basically the layback to get the reservoir in there.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then there's another.
That's what it looks like, really.
Yeah. So those organic shapes are the designed bioretention basins the shape that you'll see.
And are there little structures too that are kind of dotted around the perimeter? Is that what you said? You had pumps and.
So that square at the bottom. I can stand by.
Yeah, it's a little hatch thing there.
Yeah, that's the little pump and equipment enclosure. And rather than making it an architectural element, because it's kind of located out of necessity, not somewhere we would want to structure otherwise, we decided that it's better use, just landscape it out. We've specified a kind of go away green paint for it, and then screening it from all sides.
So it's maybe 4 feet tall or something like that, or?
I believe it was 7.
Oh. Okay.
The last sheet has a image of it.
Yeah.
You're going to just landscape heavily around it. So
yeah, and we have the opportunity, because we have this buffer between the chain link and the pink wall, and then we're already bringing in this little access path. So then for access. We're not tromping through the screening, and then we have screening on both sides as well. So
And is that the only structure that's above grade then too, or do you have other
I
little?
believe so. This is underground. Robert, are you on? I think that's the only structure above grade.
Yeah, I'm on. The one to the north of it is actually an underground. That's a pre-treatment, so you'll just see manholes there. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thanks.
At one point, Lotus Land said that they were interested in putting some housing for some of their employees on site.
Mhm.
It seems to me that this area down here might be an excellent location for the housing. Not in the one of the most sacred areas, which is in the north, which is far away from traffic noise. And the property directly to the north of Lotus Land is quiet. I mean, depends on what's going on, but it's very quiet. And which could be a more of a meditative or quiet garden space as opposed to housing up there. So the question is, have you considered using this area, this side of the property for housing? And if not, why not, please? You don't have preliminary yet, so why are you putting in all the planting, if,
Yeah.
so anyway, please, sir. Your mic is turned off, so press the little bar. That's it.
Hi, I'm Adam Flint. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Lotus Land. So to answer your question, this area is in a very public area of the garden where people would be accessing all areas around it. We do have some ideas of where we're going to be putting employee housing, but this is not part of this design. It's something that we're considering as part of our master plan, which is under development. And so as part of our design process, we did look at different areas for which we would be placing structures. And this area in particular gave us the most space, and it is uniquely equipped to handle the water runoff. And I think that's the most important part.
Okay, I'm not saying don't do the water part. It's the landscaping to the west
Mhm.
and maybe to the north of this.
Yeah.
Yes, underground, excellent, keep it. It's the other plants that you put in and then you come back and you say, oh, well, we just planted those trees. Why didn't you say something? Oh, I'm saying something.
Well,
Yeah.
and I can chime in on that. So this part of the garden is the very beginning of most tours. You come through the visitor center and you cross the old main drive. That's the DG ribbon that goes through the property. And so it's a perfect opportunity to expand an existing visitor experience where a lot of the north end of the property is bisected by staff parking, back of house, other structures that are used more for administrative things. So this area is one of the few less developed gardens that is already essentially on tour as part of the Lotus Land tour experience. So it's really valuable garden space. And it's already it's part of the experience already when you come through the tropical garden. So it makes sense to just expand it.
Public comment, is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 4, 695 Ashley Road?
No hands raised.
Okay, so we are on for preliminary final today. Back through the same order. Robert.
I think it's a good project, and I like the underground, and I think it's good to go for prelim final.
Stacy.
Yeah, I support it. I think it's a vital and necessary project for Lotus Land, and I can definitely support it for preliminary and final. Only one suggestion, is there any chance to upsize some of the oak trees? That's
Yes,
There's an opportunity.
yeah, it provided funding and sourcing, quality specimens, we will upsize whenever we.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Dave, comments, please.
Yeah, I think it seems like a great sustainable design solution, and I would defer to the actual planting to the landscape architects, but it's seems like this is going to keep the institution going and be a success, so I support it.
Rob, comments, please.
Yeah, no, I'd say folks have been doing a nice job. Keep going. I would just like to see it come to either the full board or at least Stacy as well in terms of just as opposed to just coming, if you go to consent on final. I'd like to see both landscape architects kind
For
of weigh
what?
in.
This is for final.
Okay, oh, okay. My bad. I'm good.
Bill, comments, please.
Yeah, I can totally support it, and I'm looking forward to go see it.
I'm going to vote against this. I think that it's a significant amount of work, which will potentially preclude options that's being worked out in the master plan. I agree that the water catchment basin and all of the work associated with that is wise. It's in the correct spot. It's at the low side of the property, et cetera. And I'm not so sure the surrounding area has been thought out as well as possible in terms of how to maximize Lotus Land. Yeah, it may require some moving things here and there to get it, but this to me is one of the less desirable portions of the garden because of noise. The school is directly across the street. The fire department is catty corner, and Sycamore Canyon, while it used to be an occasional car now and again, as it was described to me, it's now fairly heavily trafficked. So in terms of the auditory experience here, I think that it doesn't lend itself as much to a contemplative garden or an exemplary garden that one might have, where I would think that you would want that in a quieter location. So the cache basin, yes, but the surrounding landscape, I'm fully expecting to hear, well, we just planted all these trees, we don't want to take them out. So for that reason, without having that other piece or other pieces really declared as to where you want to go and which step, I'm going to vote against it. Is there a motion for approval, please?
I'll make the motion to approve 695 Ashley Road as submitted.
Is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 5, as it turns out, has an architect with a member of the board. And I'm wondering if there's anybody here in the audience or on board online that would like to address the board on item number 5. Or can I move this behind item number 6 so our board member can go and maximize his useful time? So what do you want to do? Normal order?
Let's just keep it normal.
Okay, try to be nice to a guy, and what do you get?
I appreciate it.
Okay, there is a memo on this project. May we read it, please? Yeah, well, get the heck out of here. Okay, so it's down a little farther. Planner comments. Hearing to discuss the parking configuration, the roof of the expanded lanai patio cover, and possible redesign of the northeast fireplace area. So let me read the comments from our previous meeting. MBAR likes architecture and landscape design. Reduce lanai, consider reducing the size. Reduce the amount of hardscape and size of the parking lot. Restudy the fire pit. Consider utilizing a more organic, natural layout. The majority of the MBAR can support FAR overage, given the FAR neighborhood survey indicates that other properties with similar FAR overage, that the majority of the additional floor area is infill and that the site is not visible to the surrounding area. Watson will not approve the project given this FAR. Gentlemen.
My name is Leonard Thomas. I'm an architect working on this project, excuse me, with Pacific Architects. I work with Bill. We are here today. This is our second time here presenting this project. We're here for preliminary design review and would like to sort of step back and just re-familiarize everybody with the scope of this project. It's an existing home with some existing outbuildings. The intention is to reconfigure the interior and create a more generous dining room as part of that. We're trying to create a more gracious entry. We're trying to create an enhanced outdoor patio. On the second floor, we are trying to create an ADU, which will serve for family members and or aging in place. The treatment of the exterior is essentially to, I don't want to say mimic, I don't like that word, but extend the aesthetic of the existing home to the new home as sensitively as we can. We're not adding any height, and the building forms and the materials are continuation of what's there today. Some of the concerns, as you mentioned, was the size of the home, the amount of hardscape in the parking area, and the design of the patio roof. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the architectural issues. We have continued to work on the project and made some improvements, but fundamentally, I think the board was in agreement that we were heading in the right direction with the architecture. Perhaps if you could go to A 5.0, which I don't know the sequence, it's kind of in the middle of the set. Yeah, there we go. These are some three-dimensional views. And as far as the architecture, we looked at trying to make the patio smaller, and you can see it kind of on the screen on the left. There's on the left-hand side is the existing, on the right-hand side is the new. The roof over the patio kind of straddles between the two arms of that courtyard, and it's pretty tough for us to make it really that much smaller. It's pretty hard for us to make it lower because then it feels cramped within it. So what we've done was to add some more skylights. We added 2 more skylights to make it feel lighter within it, but fundamentally it's the same height and area that you saw before. We have also, maybe if you could go back a couple sheets to the exterior elevations. There you go. On these sheets, we've added the color and materials, which, as I mentioned earlier, is more or less an extension of what's out there today. The building or the home is a clapboard siding that will be painted kind of an off-white. Some of the trim color of the doors, that dark gray color, copper flashing, stone accents, and the roof will match the existing roof out there today, which is a sort of a gray concrete shingle. If you could go to the site plan, which is up in the front of the set. couple more up. You would think I would remember.
Was it the landscape plan, the
Yeah, we could go to the
Yeah, then
landscape
you go
plan
LC
or
LC1.
this. This is fine for the moment. One of the other comments was to look at reducing the hardscape area, which we have done. In essence, we are obligated to provide a fire truck turnaround, and we've added 2 parking spaces that flank that. It's much smaller than it was before, but that's sort of as small as we can make it and still satisfy those constraints. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our landscape architect to talk about the improvements to the landscape and the hardscape throughout.
Hi, my name is Justin Manuel with Arcadia Studio, and we have Dawson doing by phone as well from our studio. If you could go to LC1, the first landscape sheet. What we'll see on the first landscape sheet is that this graphic remains the same except for that motor court that was just described, accommodating the hammerhead and 2 parking spots. As you might remember before, the motor court expanded basically to the existing trees to the east and west. Everything else on this plan is the same as you saw before. The hedge to the south is being just replaced. So we're not losing any hedge biomass. We're just going from a podocarpus to a ligustrum hedge. Everything else remains the same as the last time you've seen it. We can go to the next sheet, which is the planting plan. And I'm happy to go through the planting plan with you if you'd like. It's kind of the quintessential Santa Barbara planting, Mediterranean, majority low water use, some medium water use. And then if you go to the last page, which is our lighting, we basically just have 1 light fixture, which you see in the colored FX cut sheet. It's a shielded path light. We basically have it at all path areas close to the house, spaced approximately 10 feet. So it's a pretty wide spacing. We're not trying to light the space up, just make it safe. And that concludes the landscape.
So are you guys done then?
Yes.
Okay, questions, Rob?
Minor question, we do are willing to allow for some canopy lights. Did you look at that at all, or?
No, we're just doing the path lights. We're just proposing the path lights.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Robert?
The building on the lower left, the wall around it, how high is that?
That's existing, isn't it?
It's existing? And okay. No more questions.
Stacy, comments, questions?
Yeah, just one auto court. It's much better. It's been reduced significantly. Did you look though still at expanding it a little bit more to the east, just so you have symmetry with the entry of the building? Because it's kind of off-centered, the parking and the court. Do you see the symmetry is a little awkward there? Did you by chance look at maybe evening that out so that it has a relationship to the symmetry on the building?
I think we were just trying to minimize it and fit the fire truck turnout in there. We could take another look at minimizing it, or I'm sorry, not minimizing it, centering it. It's just going to it's going to push that. If you could imagine the fire truck turnout. Are you suggesting adding more pavement?
Yeah, just adding.
Oh, okay, I understand.
So that you get equal.
Okay, we will, yeah.
Walkway. I think adding a little bit more compared to where you were, it was enough parking for 20 cars. And it looks like you've reduced it down to parking for 7. I think maybe just a little bit more is justified in this situation in order to gain symmetry.
Good suggestion.
That's it.
That is Stacy. Dave, questions, please?
Is there a skylight over the entry, it looks like?
Yeah, yes, there is a pretty good sized skylight over the entry. I want to say it's 6
It's a-
feet by 8 feet or something like that.
And it's a pitch. Well, you'll see it as an element as you enter.
It's I want to say like a 1 in 12. It's a pretty low slope pitch on that skylight, but it will be a glass skylight.
When I'm looking at your rendering, it looks like it's really pitched. Is that, I guess my question is, did you consider using a flat glass skylight or something that would be less visible?
We can look at that, sure. I think, yes, yeah, we can look at that.
That's my question.
And I have no questions. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to address the board on item number 197 Tiburon Bay Lane, please?
No requests.
Okay, this project presented an FAR study. I also presented a study last meeting. It's also here, but I think the board reviewed that. Does anybody want to review that again, please? Okay, we are on for preliminary comments. Rob,
Can we go back to there was a site plan that was up that I think graphically
the landscape plan.
that works right there. So, no, I like the project. I thought from the beginning that the spaces were well organized. The only shortcoming to me is that upper right little kind of area seems a little contrived, and I guess I thought was an opportunity to maybe maybe get a little bit more organic where the edges drifted a little bit more than just kind of adding a circle right there. It seemed that's where I see it feels a little contrived. It was kind of just an opportunity to like you have a lot of room there to work with, and maybe get a little more creative there. But other than that, I support what you folks have done and have done a nice job. So thank you.
Robert, comments, please.
I support the project as submitted.
Is that it? Stacy, please.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have made some serious headwinds on trying to reduce the amount of hardscape. I could see a little bit to just to the west of the pool. It'd be great if that could be reduced just a little bit more. It's a lot of hardscape still. But overall, I could support the project moving to final on consent.
Dave, comments, please.
I agree. You've addressed our concerns and I can support the project. I just happened to zoom in on your rendering, and if that skylight's visible, I'd suggest lowering it so it isn't. I can support it.
I have no comment. Dave, did you want to make a motion then?
Sure, I'll make a motion for preliminary approval as submitted.
Nothing about the skylight?
That's up to them.
Okay, is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, please?
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Based on FAR. So, thank you.
Are
where
we,
should they come back?
yeah, are we okay for consent?
Where should they come back? Consent? Consent? Okay, very good, consent. Okay, item number 6, 484 Barker Pass Road. And we are on for final tonight. This afternoon, what is it? Feels like night. It feels like night. Okay, so Ken, oh, okay, let me read the comments. Restudy front entry, stairway and landing layout. Introduce a more organic layout to front of the dwelling. Consider adding pathways, stepping stones, etc. Study options to settle structure into the site and soften. Increase wall thickness. Look at upper east side of Santa Barbara and area near Santa Barbara City Hall for inspiration, should say for stylistic inspiration. Provide full architectural details.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Kyle Dixon, Windward Design Services.
And Chris Gilliland with Common Ground Landscape Architect.
So our primary focus was to redesign the front entry and to design the home in a place that sat better in the hillside. David, if you don't mind heading towards the end of the set, we can go through these to our renders that I think better display our new approach. Chris has updated the landscape as well, and we can go back and look at that after. If you don't mind, I'll keep going. So with this image here, you'll see that we did take the advice of the last meeting to kind of terrace and set the approach more into the hillside, so that's less abrupt. We've reduced the presentation of the landing. If you recall, it was a steep staircase step up to that landing. We've now set multiple elevations, which I think softens and makes a more organic approach to the front entryway. If you don't mind going to the next image. We did the same in the rear courtyard. There was talk about retaining walls, although it wasn't mentioned in the listed comments. We tried to soften the back hillside approach to that upper plateau as well, make it more organic, make it less intrusive. You can go to the next image. Okay, and then I guess that might be it. All right, if you don't mind going back to the landscape plan, Chris can discuss how we adjusted the site in the front to relieve that elevation change.
Okay, thank you, David. Maybe can we kind of zoom in on the plan a little bit? It's sort of okay. So yeah, we took another look at the front. Yeah, well, the whole thing really, but mainly the front, and took the advice of the board and went with a much more sort of curvilinear, organic, naturalistic approach. The parking changed. So from the street, the entry did not change. The sliding gate did not change, but basically everything from there to the front of the house is now different. We kind of straddled that large oak tree at the bottom left of the page for the guest parking, and eliminated the path that went up from the garage to a big circle. I don't know if you recall, between the garage and the house, there was sort of a large gathering area that was a big circle that we reduced and eliminated that access point. And then the main change is the entry walk up to the front door, which I believe from the last iteration, the front door was sort of around the corner on the north side of that main gable, right? So now it's centered on the gable, and a new patio, small standing patio out front with a couple of pots. And I believe we were about 6, 7, 8 feet from the driveway up to the front door. So we have a series of steps and landings that get you up there, and we wanted to maintain the circulation through the site. So the pathway that you see sort of bisecting that entry walkway is just a simple gravel path. And you'll see some terrace retaining walls, which are basically 2 to 2.5 feet, 2 sets of those from the parking up towards the front of the house. And also the grading. Oh, and another thing is we pushed the entrance to for the beginning of that walkway out towards the street quite a bit more than it was. That enabled us to stretch out that entry walk and get those landings in between. So it's not just, a lot of steps in a row. We got landings in between. And also on the down side of the page, which is south, there was a sort of a large, almost courtyard wall leading off of that southwest corner of the house, which was now been eliminated in favor of where the chaise lounges are shown. That would then actually slope down and around towards the front door. So we were actually able to eliminate that wall, which I think helps to reduce the architectural massing on the site.
And we still have the sort of 5-foot gravel around the house for fire safety. And then in the back courtyard area, just kind of simplified that staircase and some terrace walls and create a sort of a courtyard effect, and then just simple circulation around. But that staircase, then we added a landing in the middle, and that just gets you up to the more usable part of the site, which is the sort of organic shaped lawn at the top of the page. We are, if you recall the original, the last time we were here, the hillside basically came into the back of the house. So we took the advice of the board and pushed back. And so that did eliminate 3 oaks there. But we're showing in the northwest corner, where the mitigation oaks would be. And that's behind the garage, which would help quite a bit in kind of screening the house and garage from the road. And, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that will conclude the presentation.
No questions.
How big are the 3 oaks that you're removing? What size DBH?
I think they're in the neighborhood of 12.
Yeah, we do have them listed, I believe, on the site plan A101. We do have dimension callouts for those. Sorry, it'll be the other direction after our landscape plan.
So obviously I don't have the landscape CDs ready, so we're not ready for final on that.
And those red circles kind of right along the staircase at the rear patio.
Have to zoom in.
No problem.
It looks like you're removing a double 8 and 14, a 15, and how big are your 3 mitigations? Are they 24, 36?
No, I think I had them as 48s.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
That was my main question.
Okay.
No questions.
No questions.
Public comment? No requests.
For the landscape. Yeah. Right.
If one side isn't okay, we still can't give it final. We can push it into consent and do it there, but we cannot give this final today. Okay, so comments. I had one comment, but let's do it again. Dave, please.
I appreciate the changes you've made to address the comments of the board, and I like the entry and ending the final landscape plans. I can support the project.
Stacy, please.
So much better. Much more gentle and much better approach. And the backyard actually there's a use back there. Yeah, I can support it.
Rob, please.
Full disclosure, I worked with Mark Wenke, who wasn't here, and did a sketch, and then he passed it on to Chris, who did just a fabulous job. So I hadn't seen what you did. So much better where you went with it. Really appreciate kind of what we had in mind in terms of, and then having the entry where you're, it's not off to the side. Now you're walking straight up to the house. I think it's fabulous. The only minor little comment that I even add, the thing that I see with the little 5-foot required fire edge. I think I saw somebody doing this on a project. Maybe it was you, Chris.
Defensible space is that what you're...
Yeah, the defensible space, little 5-foot required at the house. Maybe it was you when we talked recently. Was just I saw where people are even rather than just meandering it a little bit. I think there's some merit to that, even though in some cases it might make a little bit wider.
Yeah.
It's too bad that they didn't let you average it out at 4 feet or something where you could move it in and out. But anyways, I think you guys did a great job, so thank you.
Bill, comments, please.
Yeah, thank you for making the changes. It looks a lot better. Entry and the walk and the front facade just really made a big change. So I could have,
So the patio and the usable
all of it.
lawn and
Yeah, all of it looks great. So I could approve it when you get all the architecture ready.
Robert, please.
Yes, the entry experience is much better. The back, in spite of the loss of the oaks, which frankly, if you drive over San Marcos Pass, we don't really have a shortage of oaks in this county. So the replanting of new ones probably is beneficial. The only thing I would say is I'm still not quite sure that your wall thicknesses on the entry side should be, at least 8 to 12 inches, and I'm not quite clear where they're at right now. But if you could make sure we get some good reveal and depth to those doors and windows, that would be great. Otherwise, I think it's a huge improvement, and I support the project.
Architecturally, you did not call out materials. They're pictured, but they're not called out. So all of the verbiage and the LRV and all that. Chris, there's a retaining wall, brand new retaining wall. It's which way is north? To the east of the house. The grading behind that won't drain the way you have it shown. It's parallel with the retaining wall. It needs to have some kind of a slope. It's a minor deal, but you're going to run into it out there. So, you know what I mean? 2% probably.
Could you explain a little bit more? You're saying behind on the east side, that's running parallel with the house?
Yeah.
Oh,
Slightly adjusting our contours.
yeah.
These are all parallel to
Gotcha.
the retaining wall.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
Somehow you need to get some drainage.
Yeah.
It's usually also, unfortunately, a V ditch, concrete,
Right.
which is uglier than dog.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, can solve it.
Rock line.
Okay, so I assume we're on for preliminary, we're on for final. I assume we want to send this to consent.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a motion for that, please.
Make a motion to grant this preliminary approval.
No,
and
he's
come back.
already got.
Oh, yeah, well, to come back for final approval on consent.
For second.
Submitted.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Very nice job, guys. Thanks. Motion for adjournment, please.
I'll move to adjourn today's meeting, August 21, 2025.
There a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So the new moon is either tomorrow